Hello, everyone, and welcome to EFAP's Superchat Catchup mini episode 303. I think.
Oh,
Yes.
303.
More Rings of
Wow.
Power.
Boy, I
Yay.
sure do love Rings of Power.
Mm-hmm.
As
There will
many of
be a
us did.
season 3, I'm sure of that. Well, I think that is
I think it's
there will
been
be a season
confirmed.
4, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, I think it took them a while to confirm that season 3. An unusually long time to confirm that season 3, but I think it got confirmed. I think the writers confirmed it.
Mhm.
Though I will agree, I legitimately do not know about season 4. They cannot. I know it's Amazon and they have more money than God, but the reason you have more money than God is because you don't waste hundreds of millions of dollars on these projects.
I mean, yeah, there's been lots of theories about what the eventual thing will be. I wouldn't be surprised if we get 4 and 5. They ask, like, do it in 4, like, finish after the fourth one. That's the best deal they'll offer instead of just outright cancelling. So that it can
Maybe.
be seen as like a no, the story was completed. We did what we wanted, and we moved on to other things. That's what that was. The Rings of Power was great. We loved it.
The problem is
I
that the
think I
pacing of the show
prefer.
is really slow. Not a lot happens in a lot of time, so their ability to speed things up and scrunch events, I just don't know if they have the ability to do that.
I would appreciate it more, I think, if a writer said, "No, it isn't as many seasons as I wanted." Like if they just admitted that instead of saying, "No, you know what? I think this is actually the perfect length," even though I've said before that I wanted more seasons than this.
Well, hey, the showrunner for House of the Dragon said he wanted more episodes and didn't get them.
Yeah, like I appreciate
Because
that.
everyone
Appreciate
knows that
the
now, and that's how so
well,
much
it's
of us
just,
know.
everybody can. You're not going to be able to convince people that that's not the case if it really seems like it was the case. Like that it was less episodes and less story than was wanted.
Oh yeah, and in some shows you could just, like the House of the Dragon, you could just tell.
Hmm.
Some say Filth Man survived the events of Lord of Ring Gollum and was later revealed to be Old Man Waldrig. Oh, well, good old
I
Filth
haven't
Man.
met Filth Man.
You
The guy
will
with the beard,
have.
right? Wasn't
I
it?
will
By the time
Was
soon,
that
people
the
but
guy
hear
with the
this, you
beard?
will have had a wonderful adventure.
The guy with the beard, right?
I
Was it?
mean, I probably had a beard, yeah. Filthy man, yeah.
you know how filth is associated with beardedness?
Exactly.
Not by
I don't know
me, but
about
by
that.
other people.
Yeah, by other people. Okay.
I don't know why you guys haven't brought Comment Showcase to the mainline episodes just for fun or to respond to the audience after controversial episodes. I don't know, I guess because we've got so much other stuff to do. I feel like that's gonna be a whole other thing. I mean, sometimes we check out comments on videos we're covering. I also feel like
Yeah,
it'd be a bit
sometimes.
strange. Like, look at the comments of the previous episode instead of just doing the next episode. I don't know. It's not something that we want to do, I don't think. I'm just not sure much. I mean, it kind of got phased out even of the TV episodes because it was just so much extra work. And it starts to, like, take over the. I mean, it's like,
It
why are we
depends on the
here?
format, whether it will work or not. Like starting off the recordings, yeah, with like here comment showcase, da da da, and it's a thing. Sometimes I feel it works, sometimes not. But if you're spending time doing one thing, it means you're not doing another.
Well, it just takes
Sometimes
ages
it's
to
best
edit
to
if you
plow
do it
forward.
in a really, really fun way. And then the collection of the comments. And then eventually you're like, why are we doing a whole show about the comments when it's supposed to be about reacting to, the episode at hand? But hey, I get it why you like it, and I don't know where and when it may or may not return. Who can say? I think the Boogie stuff loses something post Liar Tattoo, but to each their own.
I
I
think
know
what was
what you
lost is that
mean.
the tattoo wasn't in the right place.
Yeah, it's the lameness of the tattoo and a sort of realization that the show isn't earnest, that it's so theatrical and constructed and artificial in a lot of ways, which isn't quite like it's not the same.
Yeah. There's something that's been lost. It'll never be as good as the cancer arc because he was truly suffering. He did not
Yeah,
want to be
where
known as someone who
yeah,
faked cancer.
exactly. Whereas now it's more like a reality TV show where
Yeah,
the drama
they're
is
all
like
playing into it.
overplayed and ridiculous and insincere. it's kind of funny that that's how it works with reality TV. It's like it's more insincere, like because it's like yep, you got to play it up because you got to make it more dramatic. Even though if you are artificially making it more dramatic, it's kind of lamer.
Why do weird people think EFAP is frowning friends?
Why do people think
I
we're frowning friends? Oh, it's because if we criticize things, it means we hate things a lot and we don't like art and we want to kill people's enjoyment.
But the thing is that the frowning friends are supposed to be nihilistic. And I wouldn't describe EFAP as a
We're very far
nihilistic
away from
show.
that.
Yeah, I would not say that at all.
I don't agree that we are, but I think a lot of people when they see the way that we engage with a lot of media, that's what they might think because
I
they're
guess
dumb.
that would be because the easiest way to explain it is I don't know, man, getting really like passionate about how a sequel to like a franchise made you really angry seems like something that would be the opposite of what a nihilist would say.
Yeah, a nihilist
It was
wouldn't
like
care. Like,
and a nihilist wouldn't care purportedly. So
Remember, they were
why would
phony
they even be bothered?
nihilists.
That's right. As soon as Mr.
Yep.
Boss ran up to him and pointed a gun at him, he started crying and pissed himself because he wanted to live.
True.
Hey, well, man, that guy said that nothing mattered, but he's afraid to die, man. What the hell, man? That makes me angry, man.
Have you played Little Nightmares?
Oh, it's the Renaissance man came into town. Sorry.
That's right, they did.
Have you played Little Nightmares? Also, hi everyone. I've
Hello!
played a
I
little
have
bit of
not
it.
played it.
I haven't played it.
Kind of neat. I wouldn't mind getting around to playing the whole thing at some point. In the last episode of Rings of Power Season 2, I would like an end credit scene of Old Man Waldrick with an eye patch retrieving his spooky demon blood sword to stab Sauron. Yeah, I think that's a deleted scene, but it's obviously what would have happened. We'll have to see him in Season 3 now. Hey, EFAP, since everyone enjoyed the Boogie, they said Buggy, but I think they mean Boogie arc of EFAP, I promise you guys watch the Chris Chan documentary. Oh, I propose, sorry. Chris Chan is 1,000 times worse than Boogie, still didn't fake cancer. At the very least, watch the Liquid Chris saga. I just don't have much investment in watching a crazy person destroy their life. It's not quite the same. Boogie, like, attempted to manipulate the shit out of everybody for decades. And just gradually got it all revealed, you know? Shelob is too tiny.
Isn't that guy, that's like really, like the story of that guy is really insane, isn't it?
Well, the worst parts, yeah, they get really bad.
He's I think one of the reasons too is in much the same way I don't typically watch I like watching police body cam footage a lot because I thought it's depending on what you go for, it's interesting, it can be exciting, intense. But whenever I don't really watch any of the body cam footage where they deal with drunk people, because drunk people aren't. This will sound really weird, but drunk people aren't like real people in a sense. They're clearly like not functioning properly mentally because they're completely intoxicated and they're just like loopy and crazy. And so it's not the same as when someone who is lucid and like awake and cognizant does certain actions and behaves in a certain way. It feels more real. And in a way, I kind of view Chris Chan like that because he's like a psycho crazy person. So there's something that's kind of lost there. Whereas with Boogie, a lot of it really is like ego and like this patheticness of his character and how he wants to be perceived and how he laments over what's lost. So it's just different to me.
Shelob is too tiny. Ungoliant had to save Theo. Oh, right, yeah, I forgot. It was the baby Shelob was the one that attacked Theo in that sequence.
Oh yeah, that's right. In the cave, yeah.
Fucking gross, terrible. What, you fat dumb piece of poop? I never heard of a space cartel betraying the Empire just to have a lunch with Kay. This is pathetic. Sneamstar on the LOL Bantha podcast shaming Boogie the Hutt. I mean, that a universe sounds interesting, to say the least.
I think what I found funny about the different reactions to that is that as soon as it's like, oh, I'm calling in someone, and then the screen went like she was just going through the motions for like 30 seconds. I think that was what made me realize oh, this is gonna be like whatever faction you got the most favor with is gonna come and help you. Whereas you seem to be really blindsided by it, Mola. Like you weren't ready for that at all.
No, absolutely not. I never think the game is. That's the stupidest story decision in the entire game. No one should ever be
Yeah,
that retarded.
the reason why I thought they'd be like, oh, see, and this is like the ultimate reward for choosing one side to work with more is that they'll come and save you in the end, and that'll make the system seem like it was worthwhile and had real story consequences. That one of the four of them just shows up at the end and helps you in exactly the same way.
I mean, it can barely function as is because the Empire would crush the fuck out of any syndicate that took that kind of public action against them, like destroying a Star Destroyer. But Jabba the Hutt doing it, that's insane. Like,
There's no way.
so
He
fucking
likes Kay.
stupid.
He really likes Kay, and she doesn't like
Yeah.
him that much.
Yeah, but he's looking out for, and what does he get repaid for with that? The saving the rebel faction there on Akiva? Nothing.
Well,
Nothing
he
but
will later
getting
be choked out
strangled.
by the leader.
Just fucked up, man. And, if anything, the game has just reaffirmed what I thought. Jabba's the hero of Star Wars, and he got hard done by. Okay, he's a bit mean sometimes. Aren't we all? Can't we all make mistakes? Can't we all just have a moment to reflect on all of the hero work that was done? He didn't even get anything for doing that, by the way. He was supposed to get the Codex, and she doesn't give it to him. So, yeah, he technically saved them out of the kindness of his heart. I'm just saying,
Well, that's
He's a
all
bit of an anti-hero.
Jabba with. Jabba's he's a really good guy. He's a really nice dude.
Yeah, it's just sad. His fate, it's a tragedy now. The opening of Return of the Jedi. Oh well, the way the canon goes. Could an inhibitor chip be considered a bioweapon?
I mean,
No, it's not.
What
It's
does
it's
what
an
does that mean?
implant.
Though? Like, what does it do? Like, what is that?
Hmm.
The inhibitor chip isn't that
Is it
what's
like the
I think of
shit
two
in
things.
Halo in the show where they have like pellets that suppress their emotions. Would it be something like that?
Or the Captain Marvel chip that keeps her power level down.
I guess that I see. See, we're already running into a problem. It feels like the actual function of these things could vary dramatically. So, like, I don't know.
I don't think. Well, I think the fact that it's a chip would mean that it isn't a bioweapon because a chip would be like an implant, whereas a bioweapon would be like a gas or a virus or some sort of a plague, something like that. An inhibitor chip would be like you surgically implant something into somebody in order to make them weaker.
I mean, I presume that when Wesker was using Ouroboros, he had to use some kind of like, technologies and stuff to use it. You know what
Well,
I mean?
yeah,
So like,
you can use
I don't know.
you can use technology to develop it, but when it comes to
Oh, I mean,
like I
even
guess
in
No,
the
what
to
it is.
administer it is what
implementation
he's
of it,
saying.
yeah, to administer it, you'd have to use technology as well, I presume.
Well, if you had like a syringe, right, and you
I
injected
hmm.
and then you
I'm
injected somebody with it, that would be a bioweapon because the delivery it's just the needle would be used to inject it, but then the thing that it is in and of itself is biological. In the same way that, yeah, you would use if you like in World War One, if you shot like gas canisters out, then it would be a biological weapon, even though the deployment that you used of it was like a mortar with a gas can or whatever they used, or bombs or whatever that would explode and release the pressurized gas. Or like if you had like in Helldivers, right? You have the gas thrower that gases enemies and makes them all loopy and crazy. That's a biological weapon because it's the gas that's doing all this stuff. Even though you're using like a pressurized nozzle in a handheld device to deploy it.
What about a chip that releases something that inhibits you, but it's very much like biological and it's just on a timer?
Maybe if you injected somebody with a very hard to detect like machine that would then like slowly release like toxins into the bloodstream, I think I would consider that biological. Yeah, I think I would.
There, we solved it. Or something. Hopefully
Boom.
that answer was helpful.
Yes. Now you know our, yeah, you know EFAP's stance on these wonderful things.
Hello, Aarian. I was just wondering if you'd like to hang out with me and smoke pipeweed and fill our bellies with mead and ponder my orb. Yeah, well, she went crazy in that season, huh?
She did. What a loser character. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
all of them basically. I think when Random Film Talk did his tier list where he ranked all the characters, I think that Barrack was the highest rated character. The horse was the highest rated one
Makes
because he
sense.
did everything that the horse in its role would do. It didn't make any stupid or idiotic decisions, and no dialogue. So that was a huge help. No dialogue. The more a character talks in Rings of Power, the worse they are, typically.
Mm-hmm. Aarian's Palantirs are critical to keeping the flat Middle Earth theory in check. I see. Very interesting. Good theory. I'd enjoy this show more if they renamed the characters after expired items that one would find in their refrigerator. Okay. I don't think
Milk,
they're gonna do
bread,
that, but, you know, it's worth...
lettuce.
Yeah. I'm glad to see Goga becoming the 5th host of EFAP. Oh, I see. At this rate, we have fucking a billion hosts of EFAP, right? Can't be
We have
doing
many
this.
hosts and many guests.
And many editors. Many sister podcasts. It's a whole
Secretaries,
wonderful network.
interns. We have many interns, many EFAP interns.
Major luck. YouTube made me endure a political commercial without a skip button to get in here. This better be good. They have ads that are unskippable and
Not
political.
skippable?
That's fun.
Ugh. I didn't know they had unskippable ads.
Waldreg was the original keymaster. Oh, true. Little known fact, Numenorian ships have crow's nests at least 40 meters high. They were also the ones to first create telescopes just so they could sail further west. Well, neato burrito.
This is interesting.
I
In
love
a
the...
well-written show, I'm sure that we discover all kinds of interesting things about the different cultures
Yeah.
and different people and the way that they interface with the world.
I love that the Green Council scene is now a shorthand for a scene where characters logically discuss the state of the world and what to do about it, which can be directly compared with the Black Council scenes. They're not as good at all.
Yeah.
Keymaster Waldrig just flexing for an available gatekeeper. All these Ghostbusters references, I love them. Mordor, presented by Kalis. When the moment is right, Waldrig will be ready. Fucking hope so, man. He just deserves his adventure, you know? Gotta prove himself. Going through your past EFAPs, currently on episode 50, part 2. My daughter was born the same day as your first year anniversary of EFAP. Well, well.
Oh, wow.
That means she'll be
That's an
exactly 1
interesting
year
thing
younger
to
than
think
us in our show.
Huh.
And
That's
track that with
interesting
ease.
to think about. Like, I have a daughter, and she was born on the 1 year anniversary of a
I mean,
podcast I listened
there
to.
are
So
365 days in the year, and a lot of people who exist, right? So like, it's almost like every time that happens, you're like, aha, and it's like, well, it's, I mean, especially because many people watching as we got watching because we're super cool. Then
well, I was
so it's like
thinking
kind of an inevitability that a birthday will line up with the anniversary.
more along the lines, not necessarily the coincidence of the birthday, but the fact that if like that was your daughter and you looked at your daughter and as she was growing up and changing, you'd be like, oh wow, like as my kid grows up, a podcast I watch keeps going, and in a way, there's like that connection between the age of one and the age of the other, which seems kind of interesting to me because I mean,
I
we
get
do
you.
the podcast, so we see it from our own perspective, but someone watching, especially if it's tied to like the age of one of their kids,
Mm-hmm.
it's a unusual feeling, I guess. Not a bad one, just kind of unusual, especially as time goes on.
You think Frodina gonna be putting on one of the rings? Oh, guess they mean the Hobbit lady.
I don't know.
Hobbit
I don't know what the
lady?
fuck
You're
they're doing with
talking
her.
about Gundabale?
No. Well, I don't remember. Nori, I think is her name.
Nori won't put on a. She won't get access to a ring. The hobbits never got the rings. I know I'm appealing to the lore
That's very
as
funny
a
of you to
reason
do
why
that.
rings
I
of
was just
power.
waiting for
Yeah,
you
as
to
rings of
kick the
power.
brain in there. Like,
However, I don't even think they could get away from that. The hobbits getting the rings, they wouldn't do that. That's too out there.
yeah, all they got to do is just tie it up at the end. Nobody found out about it, or she doesn't remember it because of a spell cast by Gandalf. Bullshit.
Sure. The dark wizard finds her and uses her to try and get to Gandalf again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Though, well, because they do have a really big problem regarding many problems regarding the rings. One of which being that now all of the rings are made except for the one ring. So you have 9 that you have to pass out to humans, but the humans don't really exist as a faction in Middle Earth. They're just some guys in the woods and some people at Pelargir. Um, and that's it. We don't really know any humans, and the Numenorians are off doing their thing. So, okay. So I don't know who you're going to give those to. We have only lightly and briefly mentioned the fact that other dwarves exist in Middle Earth outside of Khazad-dûm, and you've got 7 rings that you got to divvy up and pass out to them. So they should have planned a long time ago as to setting the people up who will eventually get these rings. And we don't know any of these people. Barely that they exist.
You're just nitpicking.
Particularly when it comes to men. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I'm a nihilist. I'm a frowning friend, and that's what
Oh.
I do.
So Second Age 1500, Dwarven rings are made. 3255, Tar Palantir dies, and our Pharazôn takes the scepter. And then Third Age 1409, Barrow Whites appear. Third Age 1980, Balrog awakens. Meaning episodes 3 through 4 span nearly 4,000 years. Wow.
The
Just
least
sped
of the
things up a
show's
little bit.
crimes.
Hey guys, I'm sharing your misery. These episodes were an absolute slog to get through, but episode 5 was probably the best one yet. What do you think? Which one was 5? I mean,
It's hard to tell when not a lot happens in the episodes, necessarily.
well, that's kind of the key
let's
to making the
see.
best episode is the one where the least happened is probably the best.
That was Halls of Stone. Let's see. This is the one. Uh, it's hard. Yeah, it's called Halls of Stone. Do you remember
Nope.
Halls of Stone? Um,
Is there a plot
yeah,
synopsis
I
by
don't.
any chance?
Let me see. This week we followed 3 main subplots with just a glimpse of the 4th. We had no Halfling Stranger Rune Dark Wizard story, no Arondir Isildur subplot. Elrond showed up briefly to warn Hiking Gil-galad that Galadriel was right, of course, and Adar was, in fact, marching on Eregion. Gil-galad, however, was not to be swayed. Or rather, he tells Elrond that he believes it is Sauron instead, or who is behind all these events. Galadriel shows up in a cage surrounded by orcs, and she and Adar round out the episode with a brief exchange in which she pulls the very tiny dagger from her hair and takes him hostage. He tells her that he didn't bring her to this camp as a prisoner, but rather as a potential ally with a common enemy, Sauron. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, blah, blah, blah. That's about it for the elves. But in the Elven City, trouble's brewing, because Celebrimbor goes from glowing achievement to emotional wreck in the space of this episode. Things start off great, and the elves and dwarves working together at last. The one big Easter egg here is the gate from the Fellowship of the Ring. Oh, yeah, this is where he gives they make the gate and they give it, here's a gate, here's a stone gate. Is that really? Oh, okay. Anatar is not pleased by all this camaraderie. He wants to manipulate Celebrimbor, and he acts dour. He tells the Elvish Smith, who he's incapable of celebration when the people most endangered by Mordor remain so vulnerable. He wants the rings of power to be made for mortal men, but Celebrimbor remains unbending. I'll make them myself, Anatar says, and he goes off to work on it. Celebrimbor has written to Gil-galad telling him falsely that he has ceased work on any further rings, and his forge has been shut down.
You know, You didn't have to just read out the whole episode.
But you have to know what happens in Halls of Stone to know if you really enjoyed it or not. There's still more.
Yeah, no, I don't remember which one the best one was, but yeah, whichever one had the least happening in it is a good
The
bet.
shortest and the least happening.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think the last two are probably the worst. Though I think Halls of Stone, though, because I do remember Celebrimbor writing that letter to Gilgalad, and Gilgalad, because like, what an insanely stupid letter to write. That's just lies. So that's a big issue plot wise. They're just all. It's also shit. Um, there's stuff that happens in Khazad-dûm, but I don't know. They're all bad. They're all shades of bad. None of them are good. That's kind of the issue. And they mush together in my brain, which I don't appreciate.
Turn many into enough, but isn't one enough? One rags, one fringy, one mauler, one metal. Also, EFAP Gaming, Space Marine 2 must be funny. There
Well,
probably
I
will
think
be
it's
more in
three-player
EFAP
co-op,
Gaming.
right?
Oh, what it'll be. Who knows? Wigglin' Waldreg's Mordor Makeover. I'd watch it. Fucking cool.
Glenball Drake's Mordor makeover.
Oh, I get one of these. Awesome. Have any of you guys seen the anime monster? Oh, sorry, the anime monster, or the newest work from the same author, Pluto? If so, what do you think?
I don't know anything about anime Monster.
I've not
The
seen
anime
Monster.
called Monster? Yeah, I'm not an anime watcher. So I just don't know. Just don't know. Couldn't tell you.
The silence from Free is also a no.
Yeah, I got no clue.
Bum. There are supposed to be absolutely no elections in Numenor. It should work like a typical monarchy where the eldest son or daughter of the monarch is next in line to rule. Oh well.
That depends on whatever system they establish they have. You can have a monarch who is elected. That happened.
Is it the way it happens
And it doesn't
in the
have to be
book?
hereditary.
Who knows? Probably
Yeah, I
people
don't know
read
how
it.
it happens in the lore, but they could come up with that. The problem is that their system is just like, I don't understand how their system works. She's getting crowned, but then someone's like, "Oh, we don't like you," and then she gives a speech, and then she drops the magic crystal ball, and it explodes on, um, uh, Elendil, and then an eagle shows up, and now Pharazon's king, I guess. I have no fucking clue how the system works. I've got no clue.
Yeah, maybe they should have set
The
that up a
issue
bit.
well, yeah, like I don't even know how to criticize the system because I don't know how it works. It's like, oh, I guess he's king now. I guess because I don't know. How come the eagle didn't show up for her, or was it for her? Was it for him? Where did this eagle come from? Is the
Take
eagle an
off the
agent?
eagle, I
Does it
guess.
care? I have no idea how the political system works, which is kind of important when they're trying to do like a political drama with that plot line, and I have no idea how the politics work.
That's the thing. You don't have to do that. They didn't have to make a political plot line, but they kind of did.
They just decided, you know what? Here's what we're doing with Numenor.
Writers, how will the audience remember Halbrand is evil? Homer, you just gotta have him do this. The shifty eyes. The dog in the Mel Gibson episode.
That's right, and then it's like, see now that's film storytelling vocabulary that says, watch out for that guy.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Fleamish massives. Farewell and adieu to you massives of Fleam.
Oh, well, farewell to you as well. And also hi, but
Hello.
also farewell.
Look up Dopefish, cute fella. Now look up Doom Eternal version. Dopefish is it's like an Easter egg in Quake as well, right? Isn't it a studio or something, a company? They have like a little logo. Get.
Dopefish?
There he is. Hang on, I'll fetch you. I remember the Quake one. You can find him in like a little secret area.
Looks like he's in looks like he's in Alan Wake as well.
I can't, like I said, I can't remember what exactly Dopefish is. Maybe the internet can tell me. Originally drawn by Tom Hall as a stupid fish, but it became extremely popular with fans of Commander Keen. Apogee Software then started to use it for its tech support staff. It then became a gag among id Software, sorry. Apogee and their friends then put Dopefish as a character cameo in their games. There you go. That's a fun meme.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
fun. It's a good meme.
Yes, he ended up in Doom Eternal. This is what he looked like.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
God.
I don't know if I like him.
Yeah, I don't like him so much.
I don't like him at all, actually. I
Very
want to
nice.
go
What did he
back.
do to you?
Well, it's not what he
Why-
did to
why'd
me,
they
it's what
give
they did to
yeah,
him.
why'd they give him the unhinged red shit around his eyes?
Or if that's
He
just
didn't
the way
have
his
that before.
species like exist.
I mean, that
Well,
wasn't in the
that's I don't know.
illustration.
Yeah, the illustration didn't imply he was
Well,
like
that's
that.
a completely different thing. That's someone drawing this guy. I guess they removed those parts.
I don't like it.
You guys are mean.
He gives me nightmares.
Issa's bowling for Balrogs. Yeah, it was a great part of the show as well. Oh, it's all
Yeah.
so good.
We love it when they destroy our characters. It's
Mhm.
great.
Civ 11 makes great content. Give him a like.
Civvy.
Oh, Civvy
I don't
11,
think it's
sorry.
Civ
Yeah.
11. I think it's Civvy, right?
Is that the channel you know?
I know of him,
I do not.
but I don't think I've
fair
really
enough.
watched him. But I know of him.
Sebulba's engines make the best sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good sound design in the prequels. A lot of the engine sounds, a lot of the creature noises, just a lot of good blaster effects and explosion noises and pew pews. And I think the pod races, they really did an excellent job at capturing the, and it's something I've talked about I really like about older Star Wars in particular, this very analog kind of science fiction where there are turbines and rotors and switches and knobs. And you have the holographic projectors and everything, but it's very it's kind of like in a way that, you know, like Alien is. It's the future, but it's very much um, inspired from a certain time period, and I think that lends to it giving it a sort of unique kind of style. And I think that capturing the Tatooine, you know, the machinery, I think they did an excellent job at that. The pods look different, they sound different, they whir and they clunk, and I love it. I think it's really good.
What I enjoy about the sequence is that most of it doesn't have music and it's just the diegetic sounds
Yeah.
of the race, which happens. They do that sometimes in because you know Star Wars often has like a persistent soundtrack for like every single scene, to where it's kind of notable the few instances where the sound cuts out and you just get the sounds of the race or a battle or a lightsaber fight. Like those always kind of stand out as being that's cool, and it really does like provide an opportunity to essentially flex how good the sound design can be, especially in the prequels.
As a contrast, this show is total poop and I'm gay.
Yeah, I mean this show is no good.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll take it. You are gay. I'll take your word for it.
Mauler, please read a few Anakin lines with your best impression of Moss from IT Crowd. So Moss has a very stereotyped nerd voice. He talks like
Wait,
this.
is he
Richard,
what's his name?
Richard Iowati.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's him.
Ah,
Right.
I know. Yeah, I know him. He's funny.
Yeah, his voice in real life is a lot more normal, but the way he plays Moss is, like I said, is just hyper nerd. But I guess with him, you'd have lines like, I'm a person and my name is Anakin. Not that you'd want that line, necessarily. And, yeah, I guess we could choose stuff from Vader, too, if we find Sid was the good work.
Liar!
What have I done?
You're with him. You brought him here to kill me.
I see through the lies of the Jedi. I do not fear the dark
have-
side as you do.
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral.
You underestimate my power.
Ah!
It could
That's
work.
him doing the jump. I hate you.
Liar.
This is where
Huh?
the fun begins.
In a previous super chat, you didn't remember who Roy was, one of the three main characters, but at least you know Moss, right? Well, it's because Moss to me is much more iconic than Roy. That's my like problem. I've seen IT Crowd 7 times in my life, and Roy is still just a name that can easily blend away from me in terms of being like, oh, you're referencing Roy from IT Crowd. But
I can't really refer because I think I watched half of it once.
well, I recommend the
So,
full
a
thing.
lot
It's
of it.
fucking funny.
Yeah, no, I was enjoying it. I haven't seen what was the other one that guy made?
Father
The
Ted?
Black Books.
Oh,
Did he? It's both of them, right?
I'm pretty sure Linehan was a writer on Father Ted. I can't remember if he did
Right.
Black Books, but I'd have to check.
But those shows are apparently good, right?
Yes.
Right.
Indeed. Ugh, just wait till you see Thomas Bombercrap. Yeah, he was not fun, that fucker. Not taking
What an
anything seriously.
insufferable piece
Yeah.
of shit.
Like, well, simultaneously taking random shit seriously and then not. It was weird, and he was like really petty as well.
Yeah, he was. He was just a turd.
Yeah,
Like,
they
stop
would
being an
surely would do him
asshole.
with
Like,
that character.
I don't know. I guess it's like the fucking Gundabale. It's like why do you choose to make these characters just unlikable and bitchy, nasty, whiny, angry? Like why? Why do you choose to make them so unlikable? Do you think that that's likable for whatever reason? I don't know. I'm starting to think that they are extremely delusional when it comes to the kinds of characters people like. Or, oh yeah, they're gonna really like her. No nonsense attitude. It's like, no, she's a cunt. Why would I ever like her?
Hmm.
Oh, Tom Bombadil, they'll really like how he's just a goofster. Like, no, he's not taking anything seriously, and he's not answering questions, and he's being a jerk.
But for reference, he definitely has the values of someone in this show as presented that would. He is taking things seriously, but not all the time. It's always like random. You know, because he's like very much interested in stopping the evil dark power that's rising, but simultaneously is they want to play him like
Yeah, when the
aloof and
person
fun.
Yeah, when the person who he needs to do that is asking earnest questions that are very important, he's like, "Oh, I don't know what the who."
Yeah.
You said, like, "Help me!"
Help me, help me, help me.
I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. I'm in so much pain. You say that, but like I don't know. It's just, especially when you're leaping up and down and grabbing your tipples.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not buying it.
Why does
Tipple.
Metal, ostensibly a commander of such things, not simply command the rings of power to do better? Is he stupid? I mean, he's not here to answer that question, but he'd probably say yes.
He's not stupid though.
He'd still say it.
Metal is well, he wants to hide his power level.
I know. I was trying to help him hide it. You know, I don't want everyone to know yet.
I don't know.
Future Emperor, right there.
I think future Emperor Metal.
Mm-hmm. Watching this show for context makes me sad gay. Oh, not sad gay.
It's the
Aw,
worst kind of gay.
be happy gay.
You want to be happy gay. You want to be gay gay.
Loving the show, lads. Me and the neighbor's wife tune in every Saturday to hear all of your critiques, especially the German crying fellow. Oh, and he
Me and the
hasn't
neighbor's
stopped crying
wife.
since.
Me and the neighbor's wife get together and watch EFAP. It's like, oh honey, I'm gonna go visit the neighbor's wife for EFAP.
I mean, you have
Okay.
Netflix and chill, then you have EFAP and, well, I mean, you know, it's just covered in the name, I think. You'd be alright. Season 2, The Rings of Bezos. Please make it stop. The pain. I mean, not stopping anytime soon. We still got...
Get at least one more season, at least.
But it might be stopping sooner than was planned.
Also, at most, one more season potentially.
I think so. If I was gonna bet, I would bet that the next one is gonna be the last because it is not showing signs of picking up. In fact, it's drastically losing steam.
I would bet on 4, not 3.
I think that's a fair guess.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Hi.
5 seems like a pipe dream.
I'm gay actor Michael Douglas. I love you, EFAP. Wow.
Oh, hello, and we love you too.
Not
Thanks
many people
for
can
being here,
claim
man.
that they're one of the biggest fans, I guess, is gay actor Michael Douglas. That's pretty cool.
That is a really neat thing.
Waldrig II, associate of Schlippo II. Yeah, they've probably been on some adventures
Oh.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
You did it. You are the Rings of Power 2 Galadriel. Is that the... Galadriel's also not in episode 5, am I correct, chat? That would improve it. If there's a lot of... More characters that aren't in the episode, the better.
That's kind of true, yes. The show is constructed very poorly. So the less screen time and the less lines a character has, typically the more advantageous that is for them.
The spider exploding an orc's head was the only part I liked because it was funny. I thought it was funny as fuck, yeah.
That was very interesting. How
Well,
that's just a thing the spider could do.
yeah. Of course, makes sense, really, if you think about it. Don't you remember? Scars make you evil because you got them by chasing power, like Snoke or Forrest Whitaker from Rogue One. That one guy said so.
Save the dream.
Save the dream indeed. Kind of gross for you guys to talk trash about Theo like this rather than have him on again to defend himself. Maybe he's forced to be on this show. No, that's why he wasn't on the stream. He couldn't face us. He was like, nah, he doesn't even like his work in Rings of Power. But you know, it happens. And we were like, okay, we're not going to push it. You know, no actor should have to come on a podcast and defend their role when not even they like it.
Better watch out, he might be getting a ring soon.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be great. Gentlemen, if you've not heard of it already, I want to shout out a podcast called The Soundtrack Show. Ringy and Muller especially, I think, would appreciate it. Obligatory high rags.
Hello.
I
I like
presume it's a show that
soundtracks.
talks about soundtracks.
Probably cool, yeah. Though it must be fucking annoying for copyright. I guess they just say, like, this is the one we're talking about today, go listen to it and then come back.
Maybe, yeah.
That's gotta be annoying, yeah. Music reviews and music theory channels.
Yep.
Thing is, with video games, it's pretty chill,
Yeah.
but not so much with movie soundtracks or TV show soundtracks.
Outlaws. Kay never reacts to the dire stakes, just sarcastic scoffs it off like her jeopardizing her friends is a minor nuisance. Compare that to Atreus realizing he put his friends in danger and being fully shook because of it. Well, I mean...
Well,
I'm
I
sure
would
we've
say
talked
that
about it before,
Atreus
and
is a slightly better written character
Slightly.
than Caiaphas. Just a
I
little bit.
know we've talked about it before, but it's almost like this. I'd say it's almost adjacent to the kind of the looking at the camera and sort of like smirking or scoffing when referencing something from like the comic books. It feels adjacent to that in terms of a lack of earnesty. Like your character can't take the story in which they're in too seriously because that would just be lame. Like if
You know how
if they
cringe it is to care
invested in the
about
stakes of the
anything.
world, not realizing that it's kind of important for the characters in the story to care about what's happening in the story that they're participating in.
It makes me think about that Age of Ultron line, you know, where he says, we're on a floating city being attacked by robots, and I have a bow and arrow. Nothing makes sense. It's like that scene. That's somewhat of an archetype of the whole. We need it pointed out because, you know, you got to get the audience on your side for how it's like I'm just as cool as you guys are. This is ridiculous, sort of thing. Instead of treating it sincerely.
It's just the lack of earnestness of just accepting like what it's like it's almost it comes across to me as something of a defense mechanism for insecure writers, because if you take yourself seriously and you're kind of bad, like you can sort of, you know, people can have sort of a reflexive reaction of like, wow, this is so like self-important and indulgent, and like, man, you think this is like way better than it actually is, don't you? But like on the flip side, if everything is treated in the world as like a joke and silly and stupid, it's like, I don't know, if you constantly feel like you have to point that out, isn't that indicative that like you don't even believe that what you've made is particularly worthwhile? Like you're kind
Maybe
of
it's
saying it as a bit of a defense to be like, yeah, see, I think we're kind of shit too. Like,
Yeah.
as you
I
know,
know
you
what
know
you
what I
mean.
mean?
Like it's a preemptive self-defense against criticism. You can't take it because if someone treats something as if it's very lofty and high, he's got these whether these high concept kinds of stories that talk about the human condition and trust and betrayal and love and all of these things, sacrifice and pain, and these very deep stories, then it sort of invites a lot of very deep criticism in a sense because they're trying to be lofty. But if you
I
say,
think
"Oh no, it's just a fun joke and you shouldn't care about it," then they can just say, "Why are you taking it so seriously? It's just a fun, dumb joke. What's wrong with you?"
yeah, like I don't know why it's come to mind, but like if in the middle of Halo, like as you were fighting grunts, Master Chief said, "Man, they're kind of silly, huh?" You know, just be like, why? You know, like it's just there's no need for that. Or like, man, why do all of the elites dress in like really bright colors? Like these sorts of things would just be. It's like, what are you doing? You know, like just you would be surprised what people can accept as long as you're presenting them something that's polished and entertaining. People will accept a lot of crazy things. I mean,
Yeah,
by
if a
virtue
thing
of the
takes
comic
itself
success for like
seriously,
60
then
years, they can take, people can take seriously. Yeah, he got bitten by a spider and now he can climb walls and is super duper strong and he creates a shooters and swings
well, yeah,
around. Like, people will
when
accept
Uncle
it.
Ben is dying on the ground and he's telling Peter his last words, or when Peter is struggling to try and save his family or his friends and all that. I mean, it's you forget the idea that the premise might be taken very sillily, that it might not be a super serious premise in a sense, but the key is to treat it seriously. And as
Yeah.
long as you treat anything seriously, it could be a killer clown or it can be kind of anything. And as long as you treat it seriously and the people in the story treat it seriously, that doesn't really matter how
Maybe this would be
silly it is.
another noteworthy thing as well. The mistaken belief about what exactly it means for something to be fun. There are stories that are really fun, but not for the characters who are in it. Like Faulty Towers is not fun for Basil Fawlty. It's horrible for him.
It's
Like
pretty much
if he
horrible for
was looking at
everybody in that show.
it pretty much is, but I suppose what I'm getting at is that like Kay joking around like having a good time when the situation should be pretty bad for her. It's almost like they think, well, if she's having fun, then it is fun, not realizing like, well, it can be really fun, but in a meta way that is not the case for the characters in the story, as is the case in many comedies where the main character is particularly unfortunate. Like it's a pretty common theme in most comedies that like the leading character suffers a lot of misfortune. And it's not even a new thing either. But like, oh no, the main character, she's having fun. See, haha. Oh, isn't this a crazy adventure, Nix? Yeah, no, it's crazy, huh? Let's get out of here. It's like, oh my god, can we take things? Can you treat things with a little bit of weight and gravitas? You know,
Like, could we maybe give a shit, please?
because if the character and the story doesn't care, why in the hell would anybody playing it care?
That's why I find that Age of Ultron quote interesting, because in isolation it sounds just like a K-Vest type or any of the others, but it's a part of a speech where he's talking about how they need to, no matter the case, get out there and save people and fight, because that's what makes them Avengers.
I
That
was gonna
is.
say that line is what I would say is people look at that and they're like, I want to do a line like that, but they don't understand the context in which that line was couched. It was part of a pep talk to encourage Wanda to step out and fight and protect people, even though the situation is out of control and a little bit silly.
Well, because she had caused what was happening out there, when that's her whole motive, was to get revenge for events like that. So it was like destroying her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, doesn't matter about any of it, doesn't matter who did what, just if you go out there and you fight to make it better, that's what matters,
You're an
that's what's
Avenger.
important. And he said, like, even though there's an army of robots and we're on a flying city and I have a bow and arrow, none of that matters, it's just, you just go, do what you gotta do,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, which is taking it
Mhm.
seriously, in a, especially compared, when it's an explicit intention to just reference how stupid everything is and then look at the camera, it's just like,
Yeah.
I hate this shit. But even
Nope.
that, like a Deadpool or whatever at its best will still be doing that, and you just
Sure.
hope that you got to get the writing really fucking good instead of just simplistically pointing this shit out and being, I
Well,
get points for that.
kind of work harder for your jokes. rather than just like, hey, I'm pointing out something about this story, give me points for that. No, you still got to tell jokes. You still got to write jokes. I'm just thinking about other. Age of Ultron is not a good movie at all, but like it still had some good fucking jokes in there. Because I'm thinking
It's
about the
got good
joke
scenes, yeah.
Got good
where like
dialogue.
Quicksilver grabs Wanda and runs off, and then he aims his bow. Nobody would know. Nobody. It's like so. That's a good one. I like that. And then him shuffling through the streets, talking to himself. You know, alone.
Yeah, which makes you convinced for maybe a moment that they might be killing Hawkeye off because they give him all the
Yeah.
family stuff and the funny lines, make him really endearing, and then the scene comes up and you're like, oh shit, looks like
Here
he's
we
out.
go. Yep. But then they're like, "Nah, we're gonna get rid of Quicksilver,"
Which is
which
like,
I mean, I
wow.
don't mind, I guess, because like he wasn't very interesting.
Like the
There is a scene even in the Disney animated Alice in Wonderland with all the crazy, wacky shenanigans that happens there. There's still a very important tonal shift when she just can't handle how nonsensical things are, and she's in the dark woods, and all of the creatures are being mean to her. They're not helping her, and she starts to break down and cry because she thinks she'll never see her family again, she'll never see her cat again, she'll never be out of here, and she'll be lost here forever. And it's like, oh, like, yeah, this is a wacky, crazy world, but like Alice is a person, and she has emotions and feelings, and she's reacting very realistically to a lot of the stuff that's going on around her right now, and she just emotionally breaks down. And it's like, oh yeah, it's a story about a person, even as crazy as things are.
Sauron destroying the bridge was a 1 in a million shot. No way he's doing that again. Yeah, yeah, the
I
Sauron
can't believe
maneuver.
that's just something they have. Like, oh, the bridge is just destroyed. Okay, all right, I guess.
Ripperoo.
The fuck? Like, no one knows how that happened. There was no explanation. That's just okay.
I watched the first season, was so frustrated by what I had watched. I went on YouTube to see the reviews of others. Through that, I found EFAP, Little Platoon, and Random Film Talk. I'm so glad you're all here together, continuing the coverage for season 2, because I will not watch it. Amen.
Oh, well, glad you found us.
Yeah, I mean,
Glad we could be your therapy.
it's the uniting of several people who are more than interested in talking about media for absolute hours on end and about all the details and what it all means. It's not entirely a normal person thing to do, I guess, but glad to have found plenty of other seemingly normal people to do it with. Seemingly. Dragon fight. And Calagon versus Balarian discuss. Is that a Skyrim dragon?
Larian?
No, that's a... Balarian is, Game of
That's a
Thrones.
Game of Thrones dragon, isn't it? What's
Yeah.
the first one?
And Calagon.
And Calagon dragon is Tolkien. And
Oh.
Calagan the Black is a dragon that appears in the legends, in the Silmarillion, bred by Morgoth in the depths of his fortress of Angband. And Calagon is present at the last battle of the First Age, which sees the battle between the armies of the Valar and Morgoth.
This is a question for
Um,
Gary.
yeah, I don't know much about Calagon the Black, but you know what? He sounds like I feel like he'd probably win.
That would be what I would put my money on, but for all I know, that's completely wrong because of the way that their sizes are described. I have no idea how big Ancalagon is, or if he's got some kind of, like, he might be just straight up immune to a lot of what
Like a
Balarian can do.
magical
The
thing.
dragons in Game of Thrones are magical, but they're not Lord of the Rings magical.
They're like background magical or magic-ish.
I don't know. It's just hard to say, but my assumption is probably Lord of the Rings dragon's probably going to win, lore wise. Anyone else been here since EFAP 1? Hail Wolf and Hail the Toxic Brew. I have.
I have.
Bring you was, episode
I
He
what,
was in
4,
spirit.
5?
I mean, I would have seen episode 1 when it was happening.
Well, there you
But
go. That counts.
episode 4, yes, that was the first episode with me.
It was Jay's video, right? That was the first one, I think.
I think so, which is very fateful, isn't it, really? That's like just kind of a sort of a fascinating thing to think about
Memories.
in retrospect.
They could make 3 epic TV series out of this. Instead, we're just given this rushed slog. Thanks for exposing just how incompetent these writers are. No problem. It's really
It
not
is
hard.
that sentiment reminds me of something that Patrician said in his Starfield video. Starfield shit, and he mentioned the fact that the ability to create a fictional universe with millions and millions of dollars and to kind of do essentially whatever you want. I mean, the amount of freedom you have here is kind of wild, even if you want to keep within the lore. You have an insane amount of freedom to do this. You have money that very few people in the history of human civilization have had access to, and the kind of creative power. And this is what you did with it. You know how many people would kill for the chance to be in your position? And you blew it. You absolutely blew it. You did not take this as seriously as you should. What a fucking shame. You know, shame on you for wasting that potential.
Are we just going to do Rings of Power for the next few weeks? Sad face? I'm so sorry, but yes,
Yeah.
the beast had to be slain, and it was.
It's important. You'll thank us later.
Um,
When it lies dead at our feet, you'll thank us.
Can't wait for Halloween. Spooky game time. I love them. Spooky game time. I
Spooky
guess
Game
so.
Time is pretty great.
I did play. What was it this year? Don't even remember. But I know, Fring, you played Dark Descent, right?
Yes.
We're gonna do next year.
I don't know yet. It feels like there's plenty of spooky games to play,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure yet.
Can't wait for Spooktober because that means Crumbus, the superior holiday, is one step closer.
Aha.
I mean, it's just what a great setup, you know. It's like, oh, it's getting all dark and spooky and scary, and then Santa comes in like, hey, all right, you're gonna be fine.
I guess it's a different dynamic, I guess, for y'all because Thanksgiving is so big here. So we get for us, we're used to having like the boom, 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 the three. Every last month of the year has that big special holiday. But I guess y'all have kind of a bit of a gap there in the middle.
Yeah, maybe we don't do Thanksgiving. Hopefully you'll play Astrobot, lol, specifically Fringy. Please stream it.
Well, I mean, you're
Hey,
in
there you
luck, 'cause
go.
I did.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I did. God, I love that game. It's so good, and it was so funny seeing people get fucking mad that it won the Game Awards, even though you should never get too mad about what wins at the Game Awards, alright? It's like 90% chosen by game journalists, so, you know, calm down. But still, Astrobot was my favorite game of 2024.
It
So
looked really
good.
neat.
There's like nothing wrong with it. Like, I don't know what I'd be pointing to as a problem.
Dude, that was actually my like counterexample where people were saying somebody was saying, I don't know if you saw the stream or some people made a clip of it, but I was basically people were coming at me for ruining Indiana Jones the game because I was clearly trying to break it. And and then I was like, it's funny, I don't remember people saying that about Outlaws. Like it's almost like it was pre-approved to be hated on, and you know, like the brokenness of these games is all something that like it should be able to be stress tested by any given player. Every game is broadly and like
Yeah, and
almost
what happens
accidentally.
when you just what happens when you stress test Super Mario Galaxy? It's like, I don't know, man, nothing. Because like
Well,
it's
so that was
just a
where I
video
was,
game.
you know, going was they brought up all these games I'd streamed, and it's like this is how you always play, you always break games. And I was like, that isn't to an extent I do have like a big break moment in a lot of games, but I broke Outlaws about as much as everyone else did because everyone's fucking game was broken. That's not like not even fair. Me, Metal, and Az all encountered similar problems with Indiana Jones. Like those two are fucking looking to break the game, assuming I am. And then I was like, and what about Astrobot? I played that game for 6 hours and I didn't break it. So what? Did I just decide like, nah, I'm not going to do it with Astrobot. I'm not going to break
Yeah,
this
you
game.
did decide
Now,
that.
you know, to be fair, some games will inevitably be harder to make such that they can't break than others. You know, like breaking a platformer is inevitably going to be harder than like breaking an RPG or like an action adventure game. But at the same time, like Star Wars Outlaws was, just breaking for the most basic things. You couldn't play that game without breaking it.
Not even sure
And
I
I
agree
don't
with
know,
that.
man. Like, that there is a degree to which different games are more or less likely to break.
It's
due to,
not
like,
dependent on
complexity.
genre. It's really dependent on the way they code and dev the game and what's in it. Because an RPG could be incredibly simplistic.
I'll generally agree
Okay,
with
yeah,
what
sure.
Fringy said. Typically, the
the
more moving parts and things you have in, the more mechanics
Well,
and the way that
Well,
things
that's
that
what
would
I
be
said.
my
is
amendment
typically
then.
gonna
That's my
be.
amendment would be complexity, rather than genre. It was more, that would be the amendment, is that the greater the complexity of those systems, the more likely it is that that kind of problem can occur. Especially if you got like AI that needs to work, right? Like in a Mario game, the AI is the Goomba runs towards you compared to
I
the
just feel like
demands
Nintendo
that are
would
made of it.
have a seal of approval in terms of like they will like bug hunt before releasing their games.
Oh yeah, their games are super duper polished. Like that, I mean, Super Mario Sunshine is the exception to the
Exception,
rule.
yeah, and it's one of the most like beloved games anyway. It doesn't matter, like people fucking
Yeah,
adore
because
that
its
game.
core is really robust. But I don't know, man. Like Indiana Jones, that game, that was like one of the highest reviewed games of last year. That game was getting like 9s and 10s, and I don't know, man. Like I feel like if a game's getting that kind of high score, it shouldn't be as easy to break as it was for you.
No, and like I said, I was just doing normal people things. I was not. This is what part of the rant I had. I was like, I don't. It feels like stolen valor to be like, oh my god, you should be like a playtester. I'm like, no, I'm just playing. I'm not actually trying to break
Yeah, because
anything.
playtesting would be like walking into a wall for 5 hours to see if you like clip through it, compared to just playing the game in maybe a way that the developers didn't
Well,
expect
like
but probably should have.
there's a few different games where you're in a room and the bad guy will have said, like there's famous examples of this, but I'm just saying broadly speaking, if the bad guy says wait here for 10 minutes, I'll be back, and then it's like, oh god, escape, and then you're like, hee hee, I'm just going to wait for 10 minutes in real life, and then you're like, I'm going to see what happens, and then if the game like froze and actually broke or something, you'd be like, wow, you're like a game tester. It's like, well, no, that was just the devs didn't do anything, like they didn't know what to.
Why did you come up with that example specifically?
Because there's lots of games that do make use of that. That's where I was going with it. They'll actually have the villain come back, and you'll have a secret ending.
Wait here for 10 minutes, and then he comes back and he's like, "Hey, sorry about that, I'm back."
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to point out that whereas you have a very normal opportunity for the devs to be making a video game, shitty games will just have it like it just fucking falls apart, and you're sitting there as a gamer who wanted to make a choice, being like, oh, and then someone goes, wow, you're like a playtester. It's like, no, I'm not. I just wanted to play a video game. It's almost like indicative of part of the problem, right? Because it's always ground up and top down when it comes to industry stuff like this. But if you don't demand better, or if you don't even play for like a robust game, then you shouldn't be surprised with what you're getting, I guess. Like, why would they bother, right? What's the point? Indiana Jones was filled with sections of obviously like story important or civilian areas, and the second that you get into a fight, all the doors just lock. You can't move through them. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, that was your solution, because I can't go around everywhere in the Vatican killing everybody. Only pre-approved people, and like all these thresholds where your weapons no longer work, even though you can pick up all kinds of rifles and just blind fire them into civilians, and it does nothing. It's just like, God, everything's so fucking rushed and broken and thin in this game that despite the fact that they offer like a million options, you're only supposed to be picking one, and they've pretty much said like, this is what you're supposed to do, please do this, and then you don't, and they're like, ugh. But you're just like, why are you even having me play? What's the point? And that's when it's fucking working. Like, I'm talking about like even committing to the actual missions as described still breaks. The boss fights, oh, they were incredibly terrible. And just playing something like Astrobot, where it's like, this is how it works mechanically, and then it stays consistent to that throughout the whole thing. It's like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that consistency is really valid. I don't know. I know that Indiana Jones wasn't trying to be like, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but like, I don't know, man. Nintendo found a way to, make a game that gives you essentially a incredibly broad amount of emergent gameplay opportunities in the world they managed to figure it out in a massive open world. I figured that there'd be some possibility that they'd be able to account for
Well,
the
that's kind
handful
of
of choices
the
available
reason
to you
why
on
it's
playing
like
the Indiana Jones game.
worth mentioning, right? Like, I think anyone would be insane to think the Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom aren't more complicated than Indiana Jones, and yet they're like 10 billion times more streamlined and secure
Well,
compared.
it's a good old Nintendo formula, right? Like the mode of interacting with the world is actually really simple. The controls are really simple, but the variety of interactions in the game world is vast.
Like, it almost got away with it just because it's Indiana Jones. Like, I'm glad the repercussion was its lack of success, which if anyone said, like, oh, that's what a crazy mystery, how did that happen? It's like, because it was terrible and no one liked it.
Yeah, like it's not surprising. It seems like it's a game that nobody was really inspired to talk about. It came out and got amazing reviews almost inexplicably, and then it just went away. Just
There
like
almost
Alan Wake 2.
needs to be a reckoning a bit with everybody, with the weird lenses applied to all kinds of games. That it's like, everyone, you do realize that mechanically engaging games is always going to be king. Like, that's never going to go away, no matter how much you want, let's just say, particular things in your story or not. Like, that will not determine like the success of a game on its own. And even if it does, it would be a fucking exception.
People want good mechanics, particularly when they encourage them to replay. Devil May Cry 5 was incredibly successful. It's like, why? It's a really well-crafted action game. The kind that you would want to replay, the kind that you would want to dive into to really like sort of understand and get good at playing that game.
And this applies to movies then as well. It's like, it doesn't matter what ultimately is happening culturally in the broadest era sense. Like, we need to get back to actually having character writing themes, all of it intertwined, and maybe have people care about the plot.
People. They need to be meaningful. If they're not meaningful and well crafted, then even when they say, yeah, no, that was really good, they'll just move on and never think about it ever again, which is just not the legacy of all of the accepted great films of all time. Those films endure. People remember them. They think about them. They just talk about them out of the blue because they like them so much.
It's like that EFAP episode we did on the sequels, where the guy was making all those excuses and weird ways to frame the sequels to explain how they're good, when it's like, do you ever have to do this with anything good? No.
Nope. Speaks for itself, essentially.
Spooktober soon, my tipples can't wait.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
It is on the way. In fact, it'll be probably not crazy far away. The next tipple-filled Spooktober from when you're hearing this, humble viewer. I'm switching to the living room TV and falling asleep on the couch now. You guys are weird. All right, fair enough. You know.
Yeah, we are strange.
Yeah, that's fine. Theo being in Rings of Power and his Elden Ring critique is the only thing that brings me joy in life. Very appreciates that. It's just so weird that they picked him up for a whole TV show. I'd like to talk about it, but I'm sure it paid well. In any case, we have our extinct animal of the day.
All right.
Is the Paleopropithecus. Paleopropithecus.
It looks like something I'd see today, you know? I didn't see very far removed from some of the critters in the jungle now.
His arms seem longer than they would be for an animal that looks similar to him today.
Yes, very long arms. But I think
thing.
his very long fingers, too.
Very sad, the de-longening of animals, you know?
Well, there's some, I mean,
there.
giraffes, they're long animals in a very
lot of
specific
primates
spot.
have really long arms and fingers.
This fella, I don't think he has them anymore.
Snakes? Well, maybe they just evolved into something else, and there's no more of these.
I am guessing that this is a recently extinct animal. Recently, relatively speaking, not like in the last 100 years or something, but in the last million. That would be my guess. This seems like because it really does look similar to like some of the lemurs on Madagascar. You know, like that sort of. I don't know what exactly their like their grouping is, but reminds me of those fellas.
Like primates, or
Well, yeah, but more specific. I mean, they're all primates, but I mean, like more specific than that. Like the subgroup that
He is
lemurs
considered
belong
the
to.
sloth lemur.
I
The
think
sl-
I think
okay,
lemurs are their own thing. I think
uh,
lemurs specifically
lemurs
are
are
their own.
primates, but they're part of a different cat. Yeah, because the order is primates, which they belong
But I
to,
think,
and then
but
you've
I
got
think
the
lemurs are
suborder, the infraorder, and then the superfamily. So the superfamily is Lemuroidea. That's
okay.
the
Yeah, there you go. They're
that's the
they're kind of
subfamily of primates because lemurs are primates just like us,
yeah.
but they're not great apes. Obviously,
No, they're not
obviously,
great
I
apes.
think they're pretty great themselves,
They're
but they're
great,
not
but they're not great apes.
not great
They're
apes.
great lemurs, but they're not great apes.
Man, Julian from Madagascar is a funny character.
He is. He really is.
And with that, we reach the end of the messages for this episode. So thank you so much, everybody. We shall see you in the next Thingarino that we do of now. Bye bye.
Yeah, see you later, everybody.
Bye bye.